hesitant to talk about this, but I think it's finally time that we talk about season 3 of The Summer I Turned Pretty. Coming into the season, it felt like there was a lot of pressure on this show. We had a lot of expectations for what we were hoping would be done, and a lot of just worry with how they were going to accomplish it all, especially given that we've had a couple of years to read the third book and to really kind of build up our own expectations for this one. But I think Jenny Han's done a beautiful job at proving to us that she knows her work, she knows her characters, and she's really good at expanding these worlds. But I think what's been different for me, and something that I really wanted to wait on, is that it's hard to see the full scope when we don't have all of the pieces of the puzzle. And I wanted to see if there was some intentionality that maybe we wouldn't see if we didn't have everything else to kind of build on. But I think with last week's episode, we really kind of caught this in a very strong way that we haven't really talked about before. And it's that conversation of how do we use the elements besides the basic story to bring you into the experience of this world. We talk about it more so in books, but this season we've seen it in a television show where we haven't seen it in a while, and it's that conversation of either the unreliable narrator or how the person who's head in really shapes the version of the story that we're getting, and how we kind of have to check ourselves on how that changes and alters our perception and experience. I made a video about this earlier this season that has somehow gotten taken off, but I talked about the fact that we forget that at the end of the day, everything revolves around Belly, because it's essentially the summer I turned pretty. Everybody else is an accessory to her story and this world. But what I think will be interesting to see, and what we're starting to see more, is how much of those side pieces relate to Belly's ability to see her experience of being with Jeremiah differently. Today's episode is the first time that we've actually really seen Conrad, Jeremiah, and Adam interacting at the same time. But we're also getting Belly starting to actively question what's going on in this episode. Whether or not it's actually her on the phone saying, I'm not sure that this is gonna work. And of course, there is the very obvious end scene. Once we start to see that doubt, it's also amplified in the scenes that are playing outside of her immediate world. But this kind of storytelling has become more rare that can take us a minute to catch on that it's happening in a show. So far, season 3 has given us a lot, and I think people have picked up on quite a few Easter eggs and just little moments. But I think from a storytelling perspective, if you're somebody who reads or who really appreciates the details that are actually woven into your perception of a show, we will have so much more to appreciate when we get to the end of season 3.